G'day legends, and I know you're probably reading the title of this video thinking, what the hell are you talking about today, Dougie? But just think about it for a second, boys. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. This fight not happening. These two not fighting each other for the last 500 days could be the best thing that's happened to the UFC heavyweight division in recent history, okay? Now, 500 days, yes. Today is the 500th anniversary of Tom Aspinall winning himself the interim title. Since then, Jon Jones has fought Stipe Miocic, and Tom Aspinall has successfully defended his heavyweight interim belt, yeah? And we all know that the fight is still yet to be officially made because Jon Jones is being a little duck. He's being a little coward, yeah? He was hoping that Alex Pereira would get the win over Magomed Ankalaev. He is doing everything that he can in his power to try and delay and to stall this fight because Jon Jones is scared of losing his entire legacy to Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones has said, word for word, it needs to be worth my money losing to this guy, yeah? Like, what kind of an athlete even thinks of that? What kind of athlete has that inside their head? You know what I mean? LeBron James, or Michael Jordan, or Mike Tyson, or Djokovic. None of them ever talk about losing, ever, in their competitive worlds. None of them. These athletes have a completely different mental level, and Jon Jones is not on that level, okay? He is a creation, a figment of the UFC's imagination. Anyway, that is a completely different conversation for a different time. The point of this video isn't about the walking disgrace that is Jon Jones. The point of this video is about the state of the heavyweight division. The UFC heavyweight division has never ever been worse. And this year, the heavyweight division, the UFC, they need to focus on rebuilding the rankings, right? There are 29 athletes in the UFC heavyweight division. I thought it was 30 I think it was 30 athletes, but since then we've lost Jairzinho Rosenstrike for just having the audacity to lose a fight. How dare he? So the UFC cut him. So I think we're now down to 29 heavyweight athletes. In fact, I think we just lost another one for steroid use. So we might be down to 28 UFC. Didn't we just lose DeSanto? I'm pretty sure someone got cut this week for steroid uses. So we are now down to 28 UFC heavyweights walking around right now on the planet. God, it's a bad state. But the heavyweight division, right? They got to have the next 24 months completely locked in. A calculated effort from the UFC to actually rebuild it properly. And I'm talking about a proper, considered scout hunting effort across all the major organizations around the world. Don't just spawn in contender series blobs just to make up the numbers, okay? Don't follow the regular recipe of creating a UFC fighter in 2025. See what happens on the contender series. See whose reel gets picked up the most on Instagram and TikTok, and then put them as a feature fighter on the Apex next week. No. You can't be doing that with the heavyweight division this time around. Because quite frankly, it's not just the fact that the UFC heavyweight division is at the lowest point it's ever been its entirety, right? Like the other day on the live stream, yeah, Nacho, who is the most toxic member of our live stream, but we love him dearly. I'm kidding, Nacho. And Nacho brought up this point. He said, "Hey, Dougie, bring up the top 15 ranked heavyweights in the division in 2015 and just take a look at them." So I did. The entire top five of the 2015 heavyweight division destroys the entire heavyweight roster today outside of Tom Aspinall. Outside of Tom Aspinall, there is no one on the heavyweight division today that stands in the top five, yeah? The two best heavyweights that we have at the moment outside of Tom Aspinall are Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov. If Cyril Gane was in the heavyweight division in 2015, I honestly wonder if he would get past Uberim. I truly do. If he does get past Uberim, then he's got to go fight Mark Hunt, yeah? And Mark Hunt is a better version of Tai Tuivasa, and Tai Tuivasa was having a level of success before he started to crash out and go full blob mode, yeah? And then he's got to get through the powerhouse that is the mighty and legendary Big Ben Rothwell. Who could ever forget the run that Ben Rothwell went on? My point is, though, right? The second and third best heavyweights that we have right now in 2025 struggle at the 10-5 range of the UFC heavyweight division in 2015. And don't even get me started for a second if you think the rising contender that was Stipe Miocic, ranked number 3, even worries about Ciryl Gane for more than a round, yeah? And you could say the same goes for Pavlovich and for Volkov. The top 5 of 2025 sits below the top 5 of 2015. Ironically, the heavyweight division talent has gotten thinner and thinner, while obviously the competition has gotten fatter and fatter and worse and worse. And this brings me finally, 6 minutes in, to the point of today's bloody video. Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones, not happening, is the best thing that could have happened to the heavyweight division, yeah? Because otherwise, it would be completely squandered, right? Let's just say Jon Jones had beaten Ciryl Gane and then just dipped off and disappeared and run into the sunset. Or Jon Jones had beaten Stipe Miocic and then laid the belt down and the gloves, or even just pulled a Mighty Mouse and said, I was undefeated, I'm not leaving, I'm leaving, but I'm taking the belt with me. No one could pry it off my cold, dead body. Well, then either way, right now, the UFC heavyweight division, there would be one fight to make. There'd be one fight to make it heavyweight right now. If Jon Jones wasn't here, it'd be Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. And does anyone really think that fight is like super competitive? You know, I know there's people out there like Blueprint. He's out there, he's from the live streams. He thinks Ciryl Gane is one of the 10 best strikers in the UFC. But Blueprint is very, very, very wrong. Yeah? Tom Aspinall smokes Ciryl Gane. Smokes him. Volkov beats Ciryl Gane, yeah? And then that leaves Tom Aspinall versus Jailton Almeida. Okay, that's I mean, you chuck it on a pay-per-view, it has to be the headline. Tom Aspinall versus Jailton Almeida, unfortunately. That needs a strong undercard, that one. But all right, there's a fight. And then that's sort of it. That's heavyweight. That's heavyweight cooked. So considering, you know, the pace of the heavyweight division, we could say that if Jon Jones wasn't in the picture, there'd be 6 months of activity between each fight, 2 fights. There'd be 360 days of activity in the heavyweight division. Yeah? Out of the current standing of the 28 athletes at heavyweight, the champion versus them, there's about 360 days of entertainment there. Once Tom Aspinall gets through Ciryl Gane and then 6 months later gets through Jailton Almeida. Again, Tom has been champ for 500 days. 500 days. We have been arguing with Dana about whether or not this fight with Jon Jones is going to happen. That means if Jon Jones wasn't in the picture, the heavyweight division would be beyond dead by now. We would have run through our 360 days of entertainment and we would be dead. We would be in a barren wasteland. Yeah? Jon Jones not fighting Tom Aspinall has kind of saved heavyweight because there is nothing else going on. They are by far the worst division in the UFC. Lately, the ladies have been better than them. Okay? Let's not beat around the bush. And I know that we're talking about women's MMA here and chewing around the bush. They love it. All right? A whole bunch of, let's not get too, anyway, let's keep it PC. But you know what I'm saying. Beating around the bush. The girls are eating around the bush. Stop, Doug. Right? WMMA fights this year, I mean, Puchatoma, the girls at UFC London, they were the bloody highlight. They were the bloody highlight of UFC London. The week before that, WMMA at the Apex was actually really good. Opening off the card of the year, we had a couple of WMMA fights. They were actually really good. You know, in 2025, WMMA, it's sort of stepped up a little bit. And the men's heavyweight division, which is meant to be the premier division of the UFC, has got 20 fat fucks in it. The division is the worst it's ever been. It's the worst it's ever been. And I maintain the fact that if Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall weren't playing this game of will they, won't they, who will, won't they happen, there'd be nothing to talk about right now. There'd be nothing to talk about right now. There'd be no intrigue. There'd be no back and forth. There'd be nothing. None of this would have existed in the last 500 days. Tom Aspinall would have smoked Ciryl Gane. He would have smoked Jailton Almeida. He would have beaten Volkov in the rematch. And there would be, so we're up to 28. You knock off 3. So there'd be like, I don't know, I can't do the maths, boys. There'd be like 25, 24 heavyweights left on the roster that are completely uninteresting for Tom Aspinall. UFC has to spend the next year, the next 12 months. Do not spawn in NPC blobs on the Contender Series. Go to Octagon. Go over Europe. Go to K1. Do whatever you can to try and fix the heavyweight division. Because once Tom Aspinall is the undisputed champ, you are 12 months. Once Tom Aspinall is the undisputed champ, the UFC heavyweight division goes onto a death clock. You can call it a time of death. Once Tom Aspinall is champ, you have got 12 months left. You've got Cyril Gane and Jailton Almeida, and then it's dead. There is nothing else to see. There is nothing else to see. I mean, even if, right, Jon Jones was to just walk away, or let's say Jon Jones beats Tom Aspinall. Fine. Jon Jones beats Tom Aspinall. Fine. Heaven forbid the worst could happen. It makes total sense for the UFC to set up Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Have them as Jon Jones' kids. Neither of them could beat the best fighter of all time. The UFC heavyweight division has a vacant belt. Obviously, the fights need to go on, so that makes a perfectly acceptable storyline of the two second best guys fight to see who's now the best. That's perfectly acceptable for the UFC. Guess what? We're in the same fucking problem we're in now. We're in the same problem that we're in now. You're still exactly where we are today, regardless of whether or not Jon Jones beats Tom Aspinall. It literally doesn't matter looking past this fight. Are we looking towards the future of the heavyweight division and seeing the rising up and comer be Shamil the Blob Gaziev? Is that seriously where we are in 2025? The premier fighting organization in the world with the premier division, the heavyweight division, and in January of 2027, we're looking at Shamil the Blob Gaziev versus Tom Aspinall. What the fuck are we even talking about anymore? Like, what the fuck are we? Is this what we think we're lining up for? Is this the future storyline? Shamil the Blob Gaziev is the big sleeper contender. You guys talk about canceling featherweight. Canceling featherweight? Fuck off. Cancel heavyweight. Pantoja and Kai and Usyk and Manel Cap cannot afford to lose. They're way more interesting than the fats, mate. And the people, the MMA, God, the MMA fan base is so dumb, dude. These chronic, gambling, weed-smoking fucks going, oh, they're just so little, they're not intimidating at all. Are you telling me Shamil the Blob Gaziev intimidates you? That fat fuck intimidates you? Fucking MMA Joey looking, these people intimidate. You would rather be in a situation where you've got to try and defend yourself against Shamil Gaziev versus Manel Cap. Which one is more intimidating to you? Unbelievable, man. The heavyweights are horrible. There is no one intimidating outside of the top 5. Women's MMA is legitimately better. And the idea of Jon Jones not fighting Tom Aspinall has been the most interesting thing to a fight not happening is the best thing that has happened to a division in 500 days. That is a problem, UFC. A big problem. Fix it. Fucking fix it. Do not spawn in fats on Contender Series. Actually get off your fucking ass out of the apex, fly around the world, and look for anyone over 210 pounds that has at least the top 2 abs that knows anything about MMA. God, Jesus, I implore you, please, fix the UFC heavyweight division. Anyway, that is it. Boys, if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dougie. I try and make an MMA video every day of the week, Monday through Friday. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and leave a, I don't even know, can you even say down there? Just put the word fat in the comments below if you got to the end of the video just to help with the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like, there's no questions here. The UFC heavyweight division is fucked. So just put it's all fat down in the comments, please, to help with the algorithm. If you want to see some live streams, I do live streams at least 3 times a week. So if you're interested in those, hit the subscription button or the notification bell. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. That'd be great. If you're one of the paying members of the channel, thank you so much. There's a new meme video that came out over the weekend, a meme reaction video. So check that out. And until then, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.